Are you building a workflow which demands sending a message to a Slack channel or listening to a Slack channel and then triggering your workflow or business process? Well, in today's video, I'm going to take you through step-by-step process of integrating Slack with your n8n workspace, how to create the credentials using both the methods which are available, API token as well as OAuth in this video. So let's get to the screen share. Alright, I'm logged into my n8n instance which is on cloud. I'm currently in my personal project where I have created a folder called n8n course, under which I would be creating all these credential tutorials in a separate folder. So I have another folder called credential tutorials. You can create all these folders using this link, create folder. What I'm going to do is I'm going to create a workflow. I can use this or I can use this. So I'll press this. So we are at the canvas of the new workflow. I'm going to rename it to Slack integration. Alright, so first thing is that we have to add a trigger in order to kickstart this workflow. How do you add trigger? You click on this first step and you can see that there are list of type of triggers that are there. Trigger manually, on event. So I can easily select this trigger manually, but I would like to show you that even the Slack node that is there, it offers the trigger functionality. So if I click on Slack, it is going to tell me that it has 8 types of triggers over here: on any event, on bot app mention, on file made public, on file shared, on new message posted to a channel, on new public channel created, on a new user, and on a reaction added. So all these types of triggers you can basically watch out for from your Slack workspace so that you can trigger any kind of business workflow. And then we have 42 actions as well, and there are so many of them. Archive a channel, close a channel. So this is all channel action. If I go down, there are file actions: get a file, get many files, upload a file. You can see message actions as well: delete a message, get a message, send a message, reaction actions there, star actions there, user actions there, user group actions there. So a lot of actions can also be performed with a Slack node. If you have in your business Slack somewhere being used, and this could be a very handy node to understand in depth. However, in this particular video, I'm going to just stick to how you can configure Slack and integrate with your n8n. And as we can see, the Slack node offers 2 types of integration. The way it offers 2 types of integration, it also offers 2 methods of authentications or creating the credential. So let's go ahead and add a Slack node in the form of a trigger. And what we are going to do is we are going to listen on a message posted on a channel. So as soon as I select it, the configuration screen of Slack node has been opened, and over here you can see credentials to connect. And as soon as I click on it, you can click on this create new credentials, and you can see that access token is being required. So the way Slack integration works is 2 types of integration methods are there. One is access token based, the other one is OAuth based. So in the trigger format of the node, so if you are selecting Slack node in the trigger mode, then the only method that is available is access token method. Let me go back and try to configure it as an action node. I'll just delete this one. I'll go back, I'll say trigger manually. Then what I'll do is I'll search for Slack. And now you can see there is no trigger over here. And what we have to do is we have to use an action, maybe like send a message. So what I'm going to do is get a message, channel actions are there. And then like at the bottom, there is message action. So this one, send a message. So over here, again, you can see different configuration properties are there for this particular node. What we are interested in credential first. So we have to create a credential. So now you can see that you have OAuth 2 method as well as access token method. And the caveat over here is that if you are using Slack node as a trigger node, you must have access token set up in the Slack workspace. And I'm going to go through the details in a while in this video. However, it is very important to understand that if you are dealing with Slack in your business, then probably you will have to end up setting up both these types of authentication mechanism or both these types of credentials, because in the trigger you can only use access token, whereas in the form where you have to use Slack node as an action node, you can use both of them. However, the recommended option is to use OAuth. So if you are not trying to follow the recommended way of integrating Slack action node, you can use access token as well. However, it is not recommended, not a best practice. Hence, in this video, I'm going to explain both these methods to you. Now let's just go back and add the Slack node as trigger node first. So I'll go back over here. I'll delete both these nodes. and I'll click on this, again search Slack, trigger on new message posted to a channel. So now this Slack trigger node configuration screen open. So I'll create on new credential. So you can see the access token is required over here. So let's go ahead into our Slack workspace now and configure our first access token. So first thing that you have to do is you have to first create a Slack app. And in order to create a Slack app, you have to go to api.slack.com/apps. As soon as you go over there, you log in using your workspace credential for which you have created a Slack workspace. So for example, I have a Slack workspace named GenAI Unplugged, and I have all these channels: AI-automation, AI-GenAI- Unplugged, cancel-refund orders, high priority processing orders. So I have like 4 or 5 channels over here. So this is a fresh new workspace that I created just for our channel and our n8n course. So what I'm going to do is I'm now going to go back onto that api.slack.com, and over here we are going to create a new app. If you are doing it first time, this button will be visible to you. You click on this create app, and what we are going to do is we are going to select this configuration that we are going to build an app from scratch. So I'm going to click on that. So first we have to give the name of the app. So what I'll do is I'll write a name and pick a workspace to develop your app in. So here, because my workspace is already created, I'll pick GenAI Unplugged over here. So now I'll click on the create app button. On the basic information, we have an app ID, app creation date, client ID, client secret is there. Then we have a signing secret, verification token. All these are hidden. Then there are app level tokens as well. Nothing has been created. So what we have to do is on the left hand side menu, we have to come in the feature section and click on OAuth and permissions. So here I'll click on this. So on this screen, we will scroll down to a section where there are scopes defined. So you have bot token scopes and you have user token scope. What we are going to do is we are going to click on add an OAuth scope for the bot token. Keep on adding the scopes. Scope is nothing but more like a permission that you are trying to give to your bot. So this is allowing us to view messages that directly mention GenAI Unplugged. So I'll select this. I'll select another one, which is assistant right. Allow GenAI Unplugged n8n integration to act as an app agent. Of course, I want that. I'll use that. Then bookmarks 3. So, one by one, I'll select all of them for now. Alright, so I'm finished adding up all the scopes that are there, but you need to add only those permissions or scope that you want your bot to act upon. So the next thing that we have to do is we have to install all these scopes in our workspace. So what we have to do is in the OAuth token section, I have to click on this install to GenAI Unplugged because this app is configured for GenAI Unplugged workspace. So if I click on it, it should start installing. On this screen, it is again letting us know to confirm that this app is going to access the GenAI Unplugged Slack workspace with all these permissions. So again, review them. If you want to change them, go back, change them and come back again over here. At the bottom, you can see it is asking us to select a channel where it can post as an app. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to select AI automation and then I'm going to click on allow. So this is going to install all the scopes that are there. So once this gets installed, it is going to provide you a bot user auth token. This is what we need to copy. So I have copied this token from here and I'm going to go back onto my workspace and I'm going to paste this token over here. So now we have got the access token. I'm going to just save it, or before that, I'll just rename it Slack account token, so that we understand which Slack account that I'm using is token based or OAuth 2 based. So this one is token based credential. So I'll just save it. So, okay, no thanks. I don't want to save it in my browser. So you can see that connection tested successfully. However, for now, it has not been fully configured to act as a trigger node. Why? Because how will this n8n app will know that something happened in the Slack to act as a trigger and then trigger your workflow? You remember in one of the lessons I talked about webhook. That's how it is going to work. As at the top you can see that there is something called webhook URL. So Slack trigger is basically more like a version of a webhook node. What it is going to do is it is going to listen to the event that we are going to configure on this particular URL. So our Slack workspace still needs to be configured to send the messages or events to let this particular trigger know that something has happened inside my Slack workspace, so that this can trigger the rest of the business process. So now let's see how we can configure that. So let me copy the test URL of the webhook first. So I'll just click on it and it gets copied. You can see URL copied. Now I'll go back to the Slack app that we had created in order to configure it so that it can start sending the data to this n8n workflow trigger. So now if I open up my Slack app, so you can see we are at the same page, OAuth and permissions. Under the feature section, that's where we created the OAuth token and we copied that token into our credentials of Slack that we created. Now what we have to do, in the same feature section of this menu, we have to go to event subscription. So I'll go to the event subscription and you would see that event subscription has been disabled for this app. So I have to click on this, it would turn on. Now in the request URL, we are going to paste the n8n webhook URL, the test URL that we have copied. So let's just paste it. It is going to fail the verification. So you can see that it has failed the verification. Your URL did not respond with the value challenge parameter, because what it is trying to do is it is trying to check the availability of my n8n webhook by sending it a challenge. It is expecting it to respond with a challenge. Since our test URL is not fully configured, that's why you are seeing this error. So if you are seeing this error, you are missing a step. We'll go back to our Slack trigger, configure it, and then we'll click on retry. Then it should work. So I'll go back to my Slack trigger node. So you can see I'm back on my Slack trigger node. Here I have selected the credentials to connect with, which is our token based Slack account. So in the trigger on section, we have selected new messages posted to a channel. So over here, I can select any other event. I can select bot or app mention. I can select file made public, file shared, but I have selected new message posted to a channel over here. So we'll keep this same. If you want to watch the entire Slack workspace, you can turn this on. For now, let's keep it off. What we have to do is channel to watch. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to click on it. It should fetch all the channels which were there in my workspace. And as I showed you earlier, these were the 4 channels that I had created. We are going to use AI automation. So now you can see that pull in events from Slack is enabled. If I'm going to click on test step, now it has started listening. And now if I go back onto the Slack app that we created and click on retry, it should verify. So you can see that the requested URL has been successfully verified. So now what we have to do is we have to subscribe to bot events so that these events can be sent to this particular URL of webhook of our n8n instance. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to click or expand this. So you would see there is event name. So what you have to do is you have to click this add bot user event. So as soon as I do it, probably let's select this app mention. So as soon as our app is mentioned, an event should be fired so that our n8n instant can listen to. So I'll select this one. So over here, member join channel. So I'll select this one too. And then probably I'll go down and see messages channel. So a message was posted to channel. I'm interested in this event as well. So for now, I'll just select these 3 and I'll click on save changes. All right, it is success. So the changes have been saved. So now let's go back to our n8n workspace. So over here we had this node configured. Again, I'll just click on this just to verify everything is working. Yes, everything is working. And what I'll do is I'll start listening for the events. So if I click on it, it has started listening to the events now, and I'll go back to the Slack workspace now. So now we'll try to send a message and we'll see if the message is received or not. We are still waiting. No message has been received so far, and probably the reason is because in this channel we have not invited this app. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back over here and I'm going to invite this bot or app, which is n8n integration over here. It is not in channel, so I'm going to just mention @n8n integration, and it says, do you want to add this person? So I'll just click add. So this app is added to our channel called AI automation. Now if I go back, you would see an event fired. So you can see over here that an event has fired because we were listening to an event called member join channel. So as soon as our event joined our channel, event has triggered over here. Let's test out if the message event also comes or not. So I'll go back again to the channel and I'll say, so when I click on it, I'll come and see, oops, I think I had stopped it. So I'll again click in the listening mode. I'll go back again and I'll just copy paste this message and paste it back over here. And now if I go back, So you can see this is our first test message. The message text has been received. So the trigger is successfully working. We'll test one more time. I'll click this test step so that it starts listening again. And now I'm going to say this is our second and final test message. So when I click on it, it should go back and you can see that this is our second and final test message for trigger testing. So that way we have successfully configured our trigger node to listen to our Slack channel for any kind of messages or app mentions so that we can trigger a business workflow that we are trying to automate. Now let's go back to the canvas and let me show you how you can configure the OAuth credential setup as well and send messages, which is the most recommended way. So I go back, what I'll do is I'll just click on. So now you can see I don't have the trigger available, I have the actions available. So what we have to do is we have to send a message. So I'll click on this. So now you can see that I can use the same credentials, the token based credential for this node as well. However, it is not a recommended or a best practice like I said. And just to show you that the token based is working, let me select this. So if I select the channel and over here, you can see all our channel from our workspace are listed over here. So that means the token based authentication or credentials are working for Slack action node as well. But we are going to create a new credentials over here. And as you can see, this is the recommended way. So when I click on connect my account, I just need to press this. It is going to open up the OAuth window. Let me just, scroll down a bit. So you can see the OAuth window is open. It is asking me to provide all these permissions. So I'm going to allow it. So as soon as I allow it, so the testing connection is successful. So once we click it, so you can see the Slack account 2 is configured. I'm going to just rename it to OAuth and click on save. So now my Slack credentials with OAuth 2 is also configured. I'm going to go back and then again, now this time I have two credentials over here. I'm going to select OAuth and I'm going to click on get channel. So you can see that all the 4 channels are also available from this particular authentication mechanism. So I'm going to select this AI automation and I'm going to say, and if I click on test step, it should successfully execute. And if I go back to my workspace on the channel, so you can see, hey, this is a test message from n8n automated with n8n workflow. You might be thinking that this whole OAuth setup was much easier than token based authentication. So why not I just use this while sending the messages? Well, that is not the case, my friend, because we had already set up the app with correct scopes or permissions and also configured the events. Events is something that you would need when Slack node is being configured as a trigger node. However, the first part of app authorization, app creation and permission setup needs to happen. You need to invite the app to the channel. You need to install the app into your workspace as well as invite the app to the channel for it to work successfully. So all those steps we had already done. That's why OAuth setup did not take much time. So now you know step-by-step process of how you can integrate Slack with your business workflows using n8n. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you like it, give it a thumbs up or subscribe to my channel. I'll see you in the next video.